No. Okay, welcome everyone. We do have a number of public forum today, which is fantastic. I think there's 6 of them. We only have half an hour set aside, which means we're going to have to be quite strict on the sort of 5-minute time frames. I know that many of you have PowerPoint presentations, and when a PowerPoint presentation goes up there, the timer doesn't show. So we will just try and manage that, but if you could please try and keep to 5 minutes, that will be really good. And I know it's not a lot of time, but you'll be able to come back again at another time too. We've got those, and then we do have a deputation for the morning as well. So we'll start today with Stephen McPike. So Stephen, welcome back. And you've got 5 minutes today to speak to us regarding alcohol-related harm in the community.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To get the pronunciation of my last name, it's McPake, P as in pain, and the ache that comes after it. Right, good morning, Madam Chair, councillors, and out in the cyber world, our Mayor. I would like to start off with telling you a story. This is about 2 brothers. They went to preschool one day. They waited and waited for their mum to come and pick them up. The teacher was getting worried. She rang the police. She rang the ministry. No one turned up. No family. Nothing. At the end of the day, 3 hours after the preschool closed, finally someone came up. It was the police. They took the child into care. During the time, the teacher resigned from her role to look after these 2 boys full-time. She is now unemployed, looking after these now teenagers because their mother was more worried about drinking and doing drugs. I'm not here to speak about drugs, I'm here about the harm of alcohol. To this day, she would rather sit on the streets drinking alcohol than even look after her kids. And this really upsets me. I have another story. Mother, all she cared about was drinking. She got pregnant. She had the child. She handed the child over to her sister. All she continued doing was drinking. In fact, she's ruined her relationship with her son because of this. I know this one personally because it is me. I'm finding this very, very difficult. If you're a parent or wanting to become a parent, how can you do this to your child? I know as a father, I can't let my son go. So, there is 145 schools in Christchurch, and at the start of the year, there was 1,027 licensed businesses in Christchurch. That's a ratio of 7 liquor businesses to 1 school. I'm finding that a bit disgusting. In a 12-month period ending in November last year, police received a total of 3,910 alcohol offences, 5 family harms, 4,860 violent or threatening call-outs in a 1 kilometre radius of 1 liquor store in Linwood. What's more upsetting, back in 2018, former councillors, current councillors and the public perception felt the council bowed down to the liquor industry. I'm begging you as a resident and a parent to look at reinstating an alcohol policy for our community. Councillor Turner, you've got a total of 22 off-licence premises in your area. You've got the biggest area but the smallest population. This is concerning to me. Please, I beg of you, all of you, to seriously look at reinstating a local alcohol policy and leave a lasting legacy for our city. Thank you.
Question only, Anne.
If the council has struggled with a local alcohol policy, as you'll know, Stephen, thank you very much for sharing what you what you shared very personally, and you're right. The impact of alcohol on families is immense. In terms of going forward, you're asking the council to seriously consider a local alcohol policy. Do you think there's anything more we can do to support communities to stand against the liquor off licences?
There's lots to do. The Ministry of Health is begging people to reduce the exposure to liquor, advertising where it's located. The local alcohol policies in some cities are far better than what the central government laws require. I'm looking at down south. They've got a fantastic system with the Special Licensing Trust. I just beg of you to look at every council and find the best solution for this city.
Kia ora. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Stephen. Thanks for coming in today.
No worries.
Kia ora.
Thank you.
So next we have Anna from New Zealand Opera. Welcome, Anna and Terry. So your timer won't show on the screen, but I will give you a bit of a nudge at sort of 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Councillor Templeton, Deputy Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for the opportunity for us to present to you. I must say that's a hard act to follow, but feeding people's physical needs and then emotional needs is also important. So I'm here today to thank you for the support that you've given New Zealand Opera over many years. And I wanted to update you and make sure you know what wonderful work is being done in the Canterbury region and wider as well. I'll quickly run over some of these points and I'll try to stick to the time. So I wanted to let you know that New Zealand Opera is transforming and we have a goal to become a far more socially relevant and culturally connected organisation, and it's a big call to move opera as its traditional form into a more relevant and exciting and dynamic art form, but we believe that we are on the right path, and so we've set a new strategic plan for the next 5 years. We've secured major funding from Creative New Zealand, and we also have the 3 councils, Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch, supporting our organisation significantly, so thank you for that. As it says up there, we'll still be presenting our main scale work. So traditionally what you have seen from us in the past is a wonderful production with all the bells and whistles in the Isaac Theatre, and we still intend to come to the city at least once per year to do that. But we'll also be reaching into new spaces. We'll be doing exciting dynamic pieces. And you'll see that very soon as we perform in the library, Turanga. We'll be creating a piece which is very, very exciting and bold and immersive. So I'll give you a taste of what's happening this year or what has happened. You may have been one of the 2,000 strong crowd that came along to see the Opera in the Gardens on the 16th of February, which was a wonderful event, and thank you again for allowing us to be part of that council run series. We have a wonderful part of the organisation, our participation program, and we'll soon be touring from Christchurch up the country. We'll be hopefully seeing about 2,000 students during the time that we perform in a number of schools who book us to come. And that's, to me, this is a really important part of what we do. It's not just turning up on the stage and asking people to buy a ticket. This is the chance we get to actually affect young people in their lives, expose them to music that may open doors to them to a career that they never knew existed. I myself as a child remember going to Annie at His Majesty's Theatre, and I still remember sitting there with Mum at age 10 and thinking I could do that one day. And it does touch lives and change lives. That's just a little quote from one of our lovely little people who really came away realising that opera was something that was within her, which is very cute. As I say, you'll see us soon in Turanga. This is an exciting, bold and immersive 20th century piece. You'll have people sitting outside the library and inside the library, listening through headphones in one area, and then right up front hearing Robert Tucker, our amazing king, who's actually, he lives in Blenheim, just a local a local guy here, he'll be performing the role of the king. In July, we'll be at Isaac Theatre, and we'll be presenting the landmark opera, The Marriage of Figaro. Not to be missed, so I hope you all have your tickets booked, and if not, we can sort you out of those. An amazing cast which does consist again of both international talent and local. You might notice Andrew Grennan, who is actually a local as well, but Kiwis such as Joanna Foote, Bianca Andrew, Kristen Dara will be returning from overseas. Joel Lamosa's a wonderful singer who was here last year with Barbara of Seville as well. So there's a range of talent coming. And the Human Voice will be performing again. When I say we're doing things differently, this is a hotel room as our stage, and 20 people will be able to hear the power of the human voice up front, very, very close and personal. The amazing Amanda Atlas from Christchurch will be sharing the role with Fiona McAndrew. 20 people right up close. The bedroom is actually the performing space. This is where we get people to feel and think quite differently about opera and the voice. So just to sum up, I think my time's almost over. Again, I wanted to say thank you so much for the support that you've given us over the years, and I hope that we can touch and affect people's lives here in Christchurch. We're very, very grateful for that support.
Kia ora, thank you so much. That was exactly 5 minutes. Perfectly. So thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And next we've got Ryan Reynolds from GapFiller. Welcome, Ryan.
To run my own timer here, if you don't mind.
Yep, all good.
Cool. Kia ora koutou. My name's Ryan. I'm one of the founders and the director of GapFiller, and really happy to have this opportunity to take a few minutes to talk to you about the work we have done and continue to do in the city, but more importantly, I guess, why we do it. And to thank you for the support over the years, not only the grant funding support, but actually the support that we have from Brindy and her team and Brindy's predecessors in that particular role. Actually, it's been just absolutely invaluable when you're trying to do a lot of things in the public realm. To have that support at navigating the council has been great. So I just show a few images of some of our, I guess, more iconic projects over the years. The Palette Pavilion, the Dance-O-Mat, which is still going strong along Gloucester Street, the Super Street Arcade giant video game with the screen on the side of the Vodafone building. So we've been responsible for quite a few of the, I guess, fairly iconic city installations. We've also done an awful lot of smaller, I guess, a bit more humble installations with closer partners. We did a series of projects called Diversity. This was Mankala or Io game that we put near the Bridge of Remembrance, working with the Nigerian community. We did some public table tennis tables with the Chinese community, a lele drum with the Fijian community, and each of these installations ends up finding a new home at a school or a church or so on. So we activate the CBD for a period of time, and then either when we lose access to that site or otherwise, the installations go on and have an ongoing life. I guess in 2018, when I first saw the draft strategic framework come out, I have to admit I got a little bit choked up about the Christchurch as a place open to new ideas, new ways of doing things, city where anything is possible, because I feel like that's what we'd been kind of fighting for in a way ever since the earthquakes, and so humbly sort of felt that our DNA was starting to be visible a bit more widely in the city, and I hope that's still the case. We also, as with our other sibling organizations, we play a really significant role, I guess, as ambassadors for the city. Every week or two, we're doing tours to, this was one for the New Zealand Institute of Landscape Architects when their conference was in town, but for all sorts of visitors, academics. We're working with a couple Churchill Fellows from overseas who are researching the sort of work that we're doing in urban regeneration processes. We also work closely with Christchurch NZ and end up on funny American travel programs and things like that. So also not the reason that we exist, but inadvertently we end up having a kind of tourism benefit or impact as well. More importantly, I guess looking presently, we're just trawling through the Canterbury Wellbeing Index. And there are a few questions in there where people of Greater Christchurch were asked specifically about their awareness and favourability of some of our Get Pillar projects, and we were quite happy that a sort of awareness and favourability is almost up there with things like the Central City Promenade along the river and the laneways in the South Frame at quite a fraction of the price. But there is some not so happy news in the Wellbeing Index as well around people's access to transport, which is a small issue that some of our projects have addressed, the percentage of people happy with their opportunities to have a say in shaping council processes, which I feel is also a role that we play a little bit, and the most important one from my perspective, the graph there, that the sense of community since 2012 is actually on a downward trend, and that Christchurch City is scoring well below Selwyn and Waimakariri. So this is certainly one of our focal points for the year or years. So the latest project that we did in December, in the lead up to Christmas, we did an event series called Mood Shift. So every lunchtime for a week, we ran a pop-up event series in Cashel Mall trying to get inner city workers out of their office buildings, 5 events. Each one was themed on one of the 5 ways to well-being, getting people active or connected or so on. So still providing that point of difference, but really with a well-being focus. And I'll end there.
Kia ora, thank you so much. There is 25 seconds, so very quick question from anyone. Jimmy, make it quick.
Okay, yeah, very quick. Regarding the sense of community, based on your the kind of the chart, it's a decrease down from the original 25% to 48%. What's the rationale? Is newcomers settled in this city, so they are isolated or not? What's the rationale?
There's no rationale presented in the Wellbeing Index. It's simply survey results showing that people's professed sense of community over time is on the decline in Christchurch.
Yeah.
So some of our more recent projects, like a Central City Tool Lendery and things like this that we're trying to do specifically for the new residents who are moving in and trying to help create a sense of cohesion and community there.
Yeah. Thank you. It would be really interesting to get someone to do some work to see why that was going down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Right, next we have Kai Hithcock on behalf of the Green Lab. Welcome. And again, I'll give you a wee nudge at 4 minutes.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kai Hitchcock, taku ingoa no Ingorangi o ka tūpuna, ko te tiriti o Waitangi te waka, e whana mai iwi Whanganui, ke ototahi taku kāinga i nai nei, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa.
Kia ora.
Good morning, councillors. My name is Kai Hitchcock, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm Program Director at the Green Lab. My short mihi traces my ancestry as tauiwi beholden to Te Tiriti o Waitangi. My family's from England. I was born in Whanganui, and Ototahi has been my home for the past 5 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. The Green Lab creates urban green spaces, supports strong social connections and promote well-being in Ototahi Christchurch. We began as Greening the Rubble, an organisation that loosely formed after the first quake in 2010. The Christchurch City Council has backed us since our early days, and with your support we have delivered over 50 temporary greening projects in Ototahi Christchurch with and for our communities. As the post-quake context has shifted beyond the rubble, so have we. In 2019, supported by creative agency Time Zone 1, we became the Green Lab. Rebranding has allowed us to hone our organisational purpose. We value collaboration, community building, innovation, sustainability and well-being. And these are the heart of all our mahi. In our community projects, we take a participatory approach that involves end users in the design and construction. This approach is an investment of time and skill and resourcing into communities of need, which is made possible through your generous support. Our co-design process promotes social connections, fosters community spirit, builds capacity and empowers active citizenship. We also work to create vibrant green urban spaces to enable a connection between people and nature, as we know that connection with nature has a fundamental positive impact on our physical and mental well-being. We value environmental stewardship, sustainability, And in our materials and design approach, we reduce, reuse, and recycle, as well as utilising new technologies which increase efficiency. We collaborate with others to achieve projects we could not do alone, pooling resources and maximising their social good. What does this look like in practice? Well, with your support, since 2017, we've created 12 greening installations and run over 25 workshops attended by over 300 people, teaching hands-on plant care and construction skills. We have a regular cohort of over 20 volunteers and have created volunteering opportunities through working bees and one-off events for over 400 Cantabrians. We have recently been recognised by Vulcan for our ongoing mahi with group volunteer sessions. We've engaged with 3 community groups to undertake significant placemaking co-design projects: the Linwood Tiny Shops Village, Kotahitanga Gathering Space at the Phillips Town Hub, and the Revolution Community Gathering Space at Richmond Community. And we have recently begun this process out at Hornby Community Centre as well. We've collaborated with over 20 local organisations as well as a host of project partners and sponsors, thus maximising the potential of our outreach, which is built on a foundation of your support. We've also designed a movable workspace to support our community work. My time is short, so here's a couple of projects which demonstrate further our values in action. We worked with Avon Otakaro Network, Working Waters Trust, Enviro Schools Canterbury and Richmond Community Gardeners on a multi-phase project called Riverbend Refuge in the Otakaro Avon River Corridor. This included restorative native riparian planting, a platform seating and stepping pathway featuring a poem by Naitahu Komatua Choti Jardine. The site hosts 8 large artworks completed by over 100 primary school children doing a program called Tuna Taone, Urban Eels, with Working Waters Trust and the Enviro Schools. The Richmond Community Gardeners has helped throughout with planting, care and maintenance. Our blessing event, supported by Matapopuri, saw 120 folk, most of them school children, visiting the Red Zone for activities and to see the artworks and habitat on site. Many have brought their whānui back to visit since. We see this kind of project as investing in both communities now and the new generation of kaitiaki, the custodians of future Ototahi. Our Green Connection Pod was created in conversation with All Right in Tūranga, where Tūranga supported miniature scale prototyping and hosting, and All Right provided guidance around conversation starters and translation of the welcoming message into Waitaha Canterbury's most spoken languages. Before it arrived at Tūranga, we ran a workshop with the Christchurch City Mission's Reset Fridays group to do the planting for the pod, and several members of the community who have no fixed abode continued to be involved in the care and watering for the pod for its 2-month stay at Tūranga. We created active programming around Mental Health Awareness Week with representations from wellbeing organisations and artists and poets occupying the pod. The pod has since moved and is currently activating Riverside Market, where it is constantly occupied by folk who love its unique design and thriving plants, and it keeps popping up all over Instagram. We are currently exploring ways to get our pods into other communities and businesses in a way that will support our organisational resilience. Christchurch City Council support remains vital to our organisation. It allows us to focus on our core purpose, delivering quality green installations and events which enliven places, build community and support wellbeing, creating a unique identity for Ototahi Christchurch. Thank you for your ongoing support of our mahi and for your time this morning. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora, and thank you so much for that. I'm sorry there's no time for questions. In standing rules, we only have half an hour for public forum. So thank you so much. And actually to all of you, I mean, it's such a limited time for a huge amount of work that you do. So, yeah, so sorry about that. Hugh and Rachel from Life in Vacant Spaces, welcome.
Thank you. Kia ora, Councillor Templeton, Deputy Mayor, Councillors. Lovely to be here and see you all. I'm here to talk about LIVS, so I'm the chairperson of LIVS. I'm Hugh Nicholson, and this is Rachel Welfare, who's the director of LIVS. Look, we're a charitable trust. We're set up, this is our mission statement, to regenerate and activate Christchurch Otautahi by facilitating the use of vacant spaces for creative, innovative or educational projects that benefit the community. We were established in 2012. We were funded and established by the council, actually. So, in order to achieve those ends that I've just explained to you, we've got 7 trustees who are voluntary, and Rachel is our sole employee, And we're based on some international examples. So if you look around the world, you'll find, well, Renew Newcastle, Renew Adelaide are kind of similar Australian models. Meanwhile, Space in London and the UK is similar kind of objectives. What do? We find spaces for people. So we organise leases and legal agreements. We offer advice and project support to people who want to create a project on vacant space. We make sure that insurance is covered, public liability insurance, so we protect the landowners and the people who want to do the activities. We help people jump through the hoops, in short. And we also, on some specific projects, we actually curate them. So we go out and we source people to achieve objectives for the council or for LINZ. In a way, we see ourselves, well, we are sister organisations with the trusts, with Gapfiller and with the Green Lab, but, we're kind of like the less romantic, we're the nerdy sister. We help things to happen, but it's behind the scenes. Just some quick figures from this financial year. So this year we're managing 30 licences, and you can see the sort of breakdown of where the sites are. There are indoor and outdoor sites. There are also central city and suburban sites. A total of 152 projects. So we lease we license the sites from landowners, and we have participation agreements with people who carry out the projects. So that's about 768 days of sites not being vacant that we're facilitating throughout the year, and 10,000 days of activities of people doing things on those sites. We work with communities on community groups, community projects. We work with artists, both installations and giving them studios and space to work. We facilitate, provide spaces for festivals and conferences. That's Festa, the last one. Well, actually, that's Luck City. We provide community kind of recreation. This actually is the Littleton Craft Market, but a range of sort of events like that. We provide the space for that, or help arrange it. Innovative entrepreneurs. This is one of our great success stories, Rollicking Gelato. Their first kind of gig was on a caravan on New Regent Street. We work in central city vacant sites, but we also work inside in central city buildings. So this is in the B&Z Centre. This is I Heart Thrift, a great little second-hand shop with a young man getting designer clothes from overseas. We work in suburban vacant spaces, so a couple of big schools, one at Hassels Lane, one at the old school at New Brighton. We had a lot of demand from community groups wanting to use spaces in those areas. And the red zone, so working with LINZ, East by East, providing activation and activity there. So just a quick breakdown of our funding. Look, the blue block on the right is our core council funding. We couldn't operate without you, so thank you very much. That really covers our costs. We leverage about a dollar for dollar, from grants, from participation agreements from the people who use our land, so that we charge them a little bit of money to help cover costs, and from contracts to do specific work. So just give you some idea of, how our funding works. We have kind of calculated that the value of the land that we provide is in the order of $185 million, on an annual basis. If you tried to source that land on a commercial basis, that's roughly how much it would cost. So thank you for funding us and supporting us. And if we've got time for any questions, that'd be great.
There is exactly 30 seconds. So does anyone have a question for you? Anne.
Thank you. That was great. How do you identify the spaces? How do they come to you?
Well, sometimes landowners come to us. Rachel has a great network of contacts around the city, and so we'll talk to people if we think there's an opportunity. We'll go and approach them. But also, sometimes they'll come to us and say, "Can you help?" So if you've got a shop at the bottom of your, which is not filled, you may as well have somebody in it using it. Yeah.
Kia ora, thank you so much. So we have one public forum left, and the ones that we have had so far are ones where they are organisations which council has helped support in the past, for some of them for a significant amount of time. Next we have a proactive, we'd like to come and talk to you. So Abel and Jacqueline from Kelpin Limited. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm not formally aware how to greet you all, but Please excuse me offence. Basically, I'm Jacqueline Abel, and we make up 2 out of 4 of the co-founders for Kelpin, which is a compostable packaging company that we are starting up. We recognise single-use plastic as one of the major issues coming into the next few years, not just nationally but globally, especially in New Zealand. We've got a lot of excess waste that we need to get rid of. We also found out that Foodstuffs and a multitude of other companies nationwide have signed a declaration that by 2025 they'll have more sustainable packaging options throughout all their stores and such, and so we thought we'd jump on this opportunity and help create a solution for them. So we looked at kelp basically because other bioplastics use a lot of land, fertiliser, water inputs, irrigation and such, whereas kelp doesn't need any of that. It just grows lovely in the ocean. It actually sequesters carbon really readily as well, and it's actually improving our marine ecosystems, which will obviously have benefits to the fisheries. So MPI are really excited about this. We're also choosing to utilise a native New Zealand species so that we don't have issues with introduced species. However, at the moment we're also in talks with potentially working with mussel farms because they have a real issue with Undaria having this excess invasive species, and they don't really know what to do with it. So we're looking at maybe dealing with that for them as well, any excess that they've got. What we wanted to talk to the council about was just basically letting you know who we are, what we're doing. Bioplastics are becoming a really big thing nationwide. I mean, the last week we've just found another startup who are doing bioplastics as well. So we wanted to let you know that we're aware of the fact that our plastic can't go in the green bin or the yellow bin because it'll create contamination. I've already spoken with the managers of the green waste upstairs, and they've highlighted that it needs to be organic and all these other things, and if they open the floodgates for us, then it's going to create issues for all the other bioplastic companies. So we are fully aware of that, and we're looking at the end of life as much as we're looking at production with our business. We don't yet even have a roll. We're hoping to have that within the next month, and we'll be actually producing fully by this time next year. So we're already starting to think about how we're going to deal with the end of life situation, and we're actually looking at talking to council basically about public awareness. It's really important that you keep advertising the need for bioplastics to go in the red bin and not to create contamination. That's really important. But then also potentially clarifying that our product is actually very different to most bioplastics, and that it's actually good for the soil, and it also breaks down very quickly. So we are looking at dealing with just main large businesses initially. So any of the kelp and waste that they have, we're actually going to be collecting off them directly. So it won't be going into your systems, and we will be looking at composting that or actually creating another product potentially. That's a long way in the future. This is just brainstorming, so we won't get into that. But we really wanted to clarify with council that bioplastics is going to be a really big issue in the next few years, and so your current systems for waste are not going to be able to cope with that. And so you really need to start thinking now and evolving now. How are we going to do green waste? How are we going to do our recycling? What are we going to do about that? We're happy to take on our own waste, but a lot of other businesses aren't going to be doing that. So we just wanted to basically open up the forum, create that conversation, and just let you know, give you a heads up, basically this is going to be a future issue. And we thought if we can jump on the bandwagon now, start talking about it now, hopefully we can come up with great strategies for the future. I'm going to cut it off there because I'll see if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, there is. So Pauline's got one. We've got a minute left.
Thank you, and I'd just like to thank you for coming. And we are actually looking at that very issue of our waste collection as well. And we know that we do have to do some new categories. I don't like the word bioplastic because I think there are some plastics that claim to be biodegradable, but we know that it can't be.
Exactly.
So I'd prefer to use plant-based, and you could use kelp-based bags or packaging, something like that, because I think it's misleading to people. And I also think the reason that we can't put them in the green bin is because they require a different temperature to break down than the rest of the green waste. I think that's correct, more than actually that has to be organic or not, because I know that what people put in their green bins is not organic. Per se, it's there's two different meanings of organic, isn't there? There's breakdownable, but there's also non-chemicals, so I'm not sure what they meant when they said that to you.
Yeah, so basically both things, just how it breaks down in general. That's not really an issue for our product. It breaks down readily as soon as it's on the soil. We've done our own personal testings at home in our own compost bins, and it breaks down really readily within 6 weeks. So our issue with the green bins would be it's not certified organic. We'd technically be putting chemicals potentially into that. So we're going to deal with that in the future and get it tested
Yeah,
to
but
make
our
sure it's
green
acceptable.
bins are not
Hang
organic.
on,
They're not
Pauline,
chemical free.
this is a question and answer thing rather than a conversation. But feel free to take it offline.
Yeah, no, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Maybe
Yeah,
check on that.
especially
Yeah.
Pauline chairs the committee in charge of waste,
Yep.
solid waste, and so it might be that you guys get to.
Sorry.
Hence, I'm so
I should have
interested.
That's
I should have clarified
Yeah.
the organic aspect comes from the compost at the end. It's certified organic.
That's it.
the
It's
compost that
certified
they
organic
sell.
compost.
So to
That's
have
right.
that certification, they need to have strict regulations on
That's
those
right, and the transition is very tough as well. So if you allow some in,
Yeah.
but not others, it's confusing, and people put everything in the green bin. So
And just clarifying as well with the biodegradable and all of that, we recognise that a lot of things claim to be biodegradable, but that basically just means end up as microplastics. We're
Yep.
avoiding that. Our product is compostable.
Yeah.
And we would actually like to see better policy around labelling in that regard, because
That's right.
that is really misleading
So
to
I'm
people.
going to
making them
draw
think
this
that
to a
they're-
close because we're well over time.
No, thank you.
But thank you, and we have actually, as a council, advocated to central government for better labelling
Yeah.
of the different plastics.
That would be
So
wonderful.
yeah,
Thank you.
hopefully some changes there. Thank you very much.